Four political parties have failed to submit their 2021-22 financial year statements to the Independent Electoral Commission. This is a requirement of the Political Party Funding Act, and the four parties are the AIC, COPE, NFP, as well as the PAC. And this, of course, was contained in that update by the IEC earlier today. Let's now speak about this Political Party Funding Act. We're now joined by Sheilan Clarke, who's the head of communications and stakeholder management at My Vote Counts. Thank you so much for your time this evening. You want the act to be declared invalid. Why?
Good evening. So only certain provisions of the act would like to be declared invalid because, as you know, that the Political Party Funding Act, which came into effect in 2021, so only 2 years, we've seen some disclosures happening, we've seen it work. But there's room for improvement. So of the things that we would like fixed in the act is the disclosure threshold. So the minimum disclosure threshold is 100,000 rand. So the disclosure threshold defeats the purpose of disclosure. So in effect, it defeats the purpose of the act. Currently, the act makes no provision that speaks to donations from donors who are related. So in other words, we've seen in past disclosures various members of the Oppenheimer family are making donations to political parties. We've also seen various companies who are linked to the businessman Patrice Motsepe as well. So there's nothing in the act that speaks to what do we do in these cases. Then there's also the maximum threshold for donations, which is sitting at 15 million rand, which political parties would like scrapped. We are saying that 15 million rand is quite high. It's quite significantly high, and because we believe that it encourages, or we can see political parties are quite heavily dependent on single large donors. For instance, we've seen United Manganese, Kalahari, for instance, as well as Batu donating millions of rands to political parties in single donations. And these particular companies are linked to the mining and energy industries.
And Sheilan,
so these are...
pardon me for coming in there. And is it clear, though, how this threshold, this disclosure threshold was reached at 100,000 rand when you look at the Party Act right now in its current form?
This is another thing. There's no reasonable evidence that shows that only donations above 100,000 rand carry significant influence, and only donations above 100,000 rand, speaks to, allowing voters to make an informed vote. There's no evidence that suggests this.
And there's something else that, is of keen interest, I'm sure, from a lot of people who are watching this particular story, is that how important is it going to be also for the voters to know not only who gave the money, but what political parties did with the money?
Oh, very important. And this forms the basis of our case. And also when we took party funding to the courts back in 2017, the basis for us is we are all about greater transparency, greater accountability, and access to information, this crucial information, to allow voters to exercise their constitutional right to make an informed vote. We need to see where the money comes from. We need to make assessments as to see, where corruption may lie, where this may breed. So we need this access to information to make that informed vote. And this forms the basis of our case.
And for you, what alarm bells ring when the donors are related and they all giving probably like 100,000 rand each or 1 million rand here and there to maybe one political party? What kind of alarm bells go off?
Well, especially in the case of what I've mentioned before, like the Oppenheimers and Patrice Motsepe, so that 15 million rand maximum, so that is a donor can only donate 15 million rand in one financial year. So what can happen is if me and my sisters each donate 15 million rand in that year, is it from our personal capacity? Is it from our families, pots bank account? If so, then that means that you've gone over the legal limit of 15 million. So these are the loopholes that we are looking to amend, because that's some of the red flags.
And very briefly then, let's talk about, what the IEC had to say today. I mean, we're seeing 4 political parties failing to submit, and then there's also some who submitted after the deadline. I suppose this also still speaks to the seriousness of this particular process and how some are not taking it as seriously as they should.
Yes, look, up until before the Act came into effect, we didn't have anything that regulated the comings and goings of our private funding in our political space. So this Act really ticks that box. So again, I think the IEC did say earlier that this is just like teething issues. I mean, this is the first time that they had to make this, disclose all of this information. So this is just something that we need to fine tune going forward. And for us, the first step for us is to go to court and look to fine-tune these aspects in the Act.
Sheilan, let me thank you for your time, and let's see then how, those defending this particular matter, what do they have to say as arguments? Because, as you say, some of serious issues here are being raised and may need to then be ironed out, given what, will happen in the future and as we go to various elections. Let me thank you. That is Sheilan Clarke, Head of Communications and Stakeholder Management at My Vote Counts.